Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Del Prete. Do you wish to affirm or take an oath?
Affirm, please. I, Sandrino Del Prete, sincerely declare and affirm that the evidence that I give to this commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Please sit down. Seaworth.
That please the Commission. Mr Del Preti, your current position is Deputy Director, Strategic Regulation in the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you received a summons to appear at this Royal Commission,
Yes, I did.
and you received a request to prepare a witness statement and a list of questions.
Yes, I did.
Please have up on the screen Mr Del Preti's statement, DLG.0001.0013.0006. If I could ask you just to, operator, please to scroll to the first page and scroll through to the end of the document. Should have 73 paragraphs and page 0022. Does that look like your witness statement?
Yes, it does.
Now, I understand there's 4 corrections to make to the statement.
Yes.
If I could please ask the operator to go to page 0007. At the beginning, where it has your name and your job, then the Department of Racing, Gaming and Liquor. Should that read Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries?
Yes, it should.
Move to paragraph 24. Commences at the bottom of page 0012. The second sentence reads, I cannot recall exercising any delegated powers in respect to casino. Yes, over onto the other page, matters since early 2021. That should read 2019.
Yes, that's correct.
Paragraph 40. The first sentence reads, my general understanding, and I understand you wish to delete the words, based on my experience from around 2012 and earlier.
That's right.
Is that correct? So the sentence reads, my general understanding is that inspectors could audit, etc.
Yes.
And finally, paragraph 44. We go to the second line in the middle that commences, although I understand I attended, and then to delete the words a meeting. So it should read, although I understand I attended an operations meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Now, this witness statement with those corrections have identified, is it true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, it is.
I tender the amended witness
Thank
statement.
you. The witness statement of Sandrino Del Prete, dated the 29th of October 2021 and bearing the identifier number DLG.0001.00 with the 4 amendments identified will be admitted into evidence as an exhibit. Thank you, Ms. Seward. Mr. Sharp.
Mr. Del Prete, in your witness statement at paragraph 6, you identify positions that you've held at the department.
Yes.
And at paragraph 6A, you refer to commencing as a casino inspector. And you say your position changed to inspector with the addition of responsibilities.
That's correct.
Sorry, I've just passed on it. Just been asked to ask you to speak up a little bit, Mr. Del Prete.
Sorry. Yep.
Transcript. The position changed to inspector with the addition of responsibilities such as gaming and liquor, is that correct?
That's correct.
And at paragraph 6B, you refer to being a senior inspector compliance from August 2005 to July 2007.
That's correct.
And in that role, did your responsibilities include casino compliance and regulation responsibilities?
Yes, it did.
And was that for that entire duration in your role?
Amongst other things, yes.
And in that role, did you supervise casino inspectors?
Yes, I did.
And those inspectors were level 3 and level 4 inspectors?
Correct.
And the level 3 positions were inspectors?
Yes.
And level 4 positions were the shift inspectors, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Call up CRW.709.136.4797, please. Now, this is a letter dated the 4th of December 2009 from Mr. Preston to Mr. Connolly seeking amendment to the Casino Control Regulations 1999 to remove the requirement for the approval of junket operators and representatives. I'd ask you to read the first two paragraphs.
Yep.
Do you recall the content of the discussions that you had, that you referred to attending?
No, I don't.
Call up GWC.0002.0016.0020. These are the minutes of the GWC meeting on the 23rd of February 2010. And you see that you're shown as attending that meeting. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall attending that meeting?
I don't recall, but clearly I did.
Operator, please go to page 10. You'll see page 10 at agenda item 8.2, which is headed Amendment of Regulations, Approval of Junket Operators and Representatives. There's a resolution to approve amendment of the casino control regulations to remove the requirement for junket operators / representatives to be approved by the Commission. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Call up CRW.705.001.3955. Now, in your witness statement at paragraph 44, which you've just been taken to by Ms. Seward, you refer to attending an operations meeting at the casino. This is one operations meeting at the casino which you appear to have attended at that, which junket operations were discussed, or junket regulations were discussed. And this is the operations meeting held on the 25th of February 2010. Do you see you're listed as one of the attendees?
Yep.
And your abbreviation is A/DOL?
Yes, it is.
And is that short for Acting Director of Licensing?
Yes, it is.
Operator, please turn to page 3957. And if we can focus on agenda item 4.4. In those minutes, you're recorded as advising that the GWC has provided its in-principle support to the proposed amendments to the regulations, which would need the Minister's approval. And you say, according to the minutes, at this stage it has not been decided if the relevant regulations will be repealed or amended in a manner which provides the GWC with the discretion to approve a junket operator and/or representatives. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Who was going to decide if the relevant regulations would be repealed or amended in that manner? Was it going to be decided by the department or by the GWC?
I can't recall. I mean, those minutes are records that were written up by Crown. They're not minutes that we wrote. So I can't recall what or who was going to make those decisions. I didn't think there was any discretionary thing, but clearly this does reflect that. So I just can't recall that.
And you're also recorded as saying that you further advised the process of seeking the Minister's support will be progressed via the DRGL's policy unit.
Yes.
Do you recall saying that?
Well, it would have been the natural part of the process. So once the Commission had made a decision around this, the policy team would progress the actual regulation amendments, getting the Minister's approval and going off to Parliamentary Council to get the regulation amendments drafted. So that's a function that belongs within that policy unit.
Call up CRW.702.001.0598. You can see, again, you're shown as attending, Mr. Del Prete, and the abbreviation given to you is A/DOL once again. Operator, please go to page 599. And agenda item 2.2. So you see that the EGMLS which is Mr. Preston, requested an update on the progress of this matter, and it says that the ADOL, that's you, advised that its policy unit is currently dealing with this matter and that he expects it will be referred to the Minister within the next few weeks.
Yes.
Operator, please call up CRW.702.001.0604. These are the operations meeting minutes for the 29th of April 2010, and you can see that you're again listed as one of the attendees, but this time you're given a different abbreviation, which is A/DC. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Operator, please go to page 605. Focus attention on agenda item 2.2. And you can see that you're recorded as saying that the Minister has agreed to repeal the relevant regulations, which will now be forwarded to Parliamentary Council for redrafting, and this process is expected to take a few months. Do you recall the advice that was given to the Minister about the repeal of the relevant regulations?
No, I don't. I wouldn't have been involved in preparing the memo to the Minister. That would have been done by the policy team.
Who in the policy team would have been responsible?
Well, the Director would have allocated it to one of the policy officers to prepare that paperwork. I don't know who that was.
And in the second paragraph, it's recorded that in response to a query raised by Mr. Preston, you advised that you saw no reason why Burswood could not write to the GWC requesting they permit Burswood to commence operating in accordance with the proposed changes to the regulation whilst the redrafting process takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall making that statement, giving that advice?
I mean, I don't recall again, but I assume I did because it's recorded, so I'll accept that as being the case.
On what basis would you have given advice that it would be open to the GWC to allow the Perth Casino to stop complying with the regulations before they were amended?
On what basis? It would be on the basis that it could write to the Commission to consider that. It wasn't my decision to make that. And given that the Commission had, I guess, agreed to it in principle, it would be up to them to make that call.
Operator, call up CRW.705.006.8340. This is the operations minutes for operations meeting minutes for the 27th of May 2010. You're again listed as one of the attendees, and also draw attention to Janine Belling, who's referred to by the abbreviation DOL. See that?
Yes.
Operator, go to page 8431. And we can focus on agenda item 2.2, please. Mr. Preston says he's been advised that a letter had been received from the Minister in relation to the amendments, and the DOL, who's Ms. Belling, says she'll follow up the status of the amendments which are currently being redrafted. Do you know why the amendments were being redrafted at that time?
I think that might be a typo. I think it should probably read the DOL will follow up the status of the amendments which are currently being drafted, not redrafted.
Call up CRW.705.003.7674. So these are the Operations Division meeting minutes for 24 June 2010. You're listed as an apology. Didn't attend that meeting. But I note that Janine Belling did attend that meeting and is again referred to by the abbreviation DOL. Operator, go to page 7675. And again, 2.2, agenda item 2.2. So Mr. Preston has advised, his reporter is advising that Burswood noted that the regulations have been amended, no longer requiring junket operators and representatives to be approved. And he sought advice as to whether the...
Sorry to interrupt, Commissioners. There actually is a patron name on that document at the bottom, if that could perhaps just be removed off the screens.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Preston says he sought advice as to whether the GWC still required Burswood to forward to the GWC details of the new Junket operator or operators it intends to deal with, and Junket settlement statements as detailed in his original submission letter. And DOL, who is Ms. Belling, advised, so it should be she, yes, she will make further inquiries with the chairman of the GWC regarding this matter and provide a response. Operator, call up CRW.705.007.6821. These are the Operation Division meeting minutes for 26th of August 2010, and you can see that you're listed as an attendee and given the abbreviation A/DC. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Operator, please go to page 6822 and look at agenda item 2.1. So in these minutes, it's recorded that Mr. Preston thanked the A/DC, which is you, for your reply on this matter. Operator, call up CRW.705.003.4416. This is an email from you, Mr. Operator, to Mr. Hume.
Sorry to interrupt again. It has been the usual practice in the past for contact information of employees.
Yeah, I think you are right, Mr. Garris. Yes.
So in this email, you state that you've spoken to Barry, I assume that means Mr. Sargent, about the Junket details and agreed that there is no need to continue to provide us with pre-arrival advice or details of which Junket operators Burswood does business with. And you say, however, we would appreciate being provided with Junket settlement sheets on a monthly basis.
Yes.
Is that the reply that Mr. Preston thanked you for at the 26th of August 2010 meeting?
I expect it is, yes.
And did Mr. Sargent give you an explanation for why he did not wish to continue receiving, or he did not consider that the pre-arrival advice or details should continue to be provided?
I can't recall.
And are you aware of what Junket notification practice was in fact followed after the 2010 amendment to the casino control regulations?
I can't remember that, no. I think they did continue to provide us with, I think, the list of players that came with junkets, because I think subsequent to that, Crown sought to amend the casino manual because it hadn't been dealt with at the time that these regulation amendments were made. So I think it still sat within the casino manual, the requirement to lodge details about junket players.
And that leads to your witness statement at paragraph 51 and 52. So paragraph 51 and 52, you give your... Sorry, operator, can you show the heading as well? You give your knowledge of the amendment made by Mr. Connolly to the casino manual operations on 11 April 2017 to delete a part of the casino manual operations which was headed Junket program.
Yeah, that was my understanding why that occurred.
And is it your understanding that after that amendment was made to the Junket program, that there was no further notification about Junket players that was provided by the casino to the department?
I don't know subsequent to that date what happened, no.
Do you know if that was the intended effect of the removal of that section of the casino manual, that the notification would stop being provided?
Yeah, I assume so, because they would have been in breach of the directions and the casino manual had they not continued to lodge that until such time as that manual was amended and the directions were obviously updated.
So the removing of that heading Junket program from the casino manual is intended to stop the process of provision of notification of Junket information, is that
Yeah,
right?
I guess so, yeah.
Turning then to your witness statement at paragraphs 9 and 10. Now this deals with your appointment as acting chief casino officer, and you refer to documents prepared by the department that led you to the understanding that you were appointed as the acting chief casino officer for a 2-week period from 19 October 2015 to 6 November 2015. And you say that you can't specifically recall performing that role, and you also note that historically the CCO position was linked to a specific position in the department, and that it appears to you from your examination of your service records that you were in your substantive position during that time and not acting in a different position.
That's correct.
Operator, call up CRW.708.001.6527. So this is a letter from you, Mr. Del Prete, to Mr. Preston, dated 6 November 2015. Do you accept that you sent that letter?
Yep.
And do you see under your name there are 2 titles, Assistant Director, Liquor and Gambling, and Chief Casino Officer?
Yes, I do.
So do you accept that you were acting?
Oh,
as
I
Chief
accept that I
Casino Officer at
was.
the
I
time?
just couldn't recall it because typically it would have been a role afforded to either the Director of Compliance, the Director of Licensing, or the Deputy Director General in that time. So it was unusual that it would have been a role delegated to me, but I accept the fact that I did do it, yes.
And the substantive person occupying that Chief Casino Officer role at the time was the Deputy Director General, Michael Connolly, is that
Yeah,
correct?
yes, that's right.
And how was it decided that you should become the acting Chief Casino Officer?
I have no recollection of how that came about.
Or how was it decided that people other than Mr. Connolly should be acting Chief Casino Officer? What was the practice around that?
Well, normally the Chief Casino Officer would recommend one of the directors to perform that role, and that would be taken to the Commission and approved. It was unusual that it went sort of further down the chain to me, so I can only assume that others were on leave at the time or unavailable, and so the role was delegated to me for that short period of time.
So is your evidence, correct me if this is not what your evidence is, that the decision was made by the department about who would act as the Chief Casino Officer?
Yes.
And was it the case that the Gaming and Wagering Commission was always notified of an acting Chief Casino Officer appointment, or was that sometimes the case or not often the case?
It was normally signed off by the chairman. So it didn't go to a commission meeting, it went to the chairman and he would sign off the delegations from what I recall.
So the chairman being
Barry
Mr. Sargent,
Yes, that's correct.
who was also the Director General of the department.
That's correct.
And are you aware of whether the GWC would be notified about those acting Chief Casino Officer appointments?
I don't think they were.
So to your knowledge, they weren't notified?
To my knowledge, they weren't.
Now, in this letter, I draw your attention to the approval which you've given. It said to be the approval for the purchase of equipment or software for Jukebox Fortunes as detailed in GLI Australia's certification report. And there's a series of letters and numbers, but ending in 04, dated the 14th of July 2015, and GLI Australia certification report, once again, series of identical numbers except ending in 02. Do you see that?
Yes.
Dated 1 May 2015 to operate variation 02.
Yes.
Operator, so you see that you're giving approval for the purchase of both of those with serial numbers ending 04 and 02. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Operator, call up CRW.708.002.1133. And can we just enlarge that so we can read that more easily, please, operator? Thank you. And this is an email from Mr. Hume where he refers to a submission from Crown in respect of the EGM game Jukebox 4 Tunes. And I'll let you read the second paragraph.
Yep.
So you'll see that Mr. Hume is referring to an approval granted by Mr. Connolly, from the department, but from Mr. Connolly, dated the 1st of September 2015. And he notes that approval is given, but not in respect of the serial number ending 04.
Yep.
See that?
Yes.
Operator, call up CRW.708.002.1135. So you'll see this is, can we zoom it up a bit, please, to make it easier to read? This is a letter dated 1 September 2015 from Mr. Connolly to Mr. Preston. And you'll see it concerns the rules of authorised game, video bingo, jukebox 4 tunes. And in the second line, you'll see that Mr. Connolly has indicated that he's determined to approve amendments to the rules of video bingo to provide Crown Perth with the ability to offer the new electronic gaming machine jukebox 4 tunes. And then he goes on in the next paragraph to give an approval for purchase of equipment or software and refers to the serial number ending 02, but not the serial number ending 04.
Yeah, I see that. So how does that link back to what I had approved?
So is the purpose of your letter, maybe we should go back to your letter, can we please call up CRW.708.001.6527?
Okay.
Can we zoom it out again, please?
So my letter was 2 months after that.
So your letter, was your letter being provided in response to Mr. Hume's email of the 23rd of September, which noted that approval had been given for the serial number ending 02, but not the serial number ending 04?
I expect that that's what that was, to correct an oversight.
And so in sending this letter, you were exercising a power which was delegated to the Chief Casino Officer, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in your witness statement at paragraph 20, sorry, operator, can we have the witness statement? At paragraph 20, you refer to delegations, and that pursuant to those delegations you have exercised various powers, including in paragraph B, approving amendments to the casino manual operations. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And that has a footnote reference, footnote 12. Operator, can we bring up footnote 12, please? footnote 12 is GWC.007.007.0085, which is a reference to this document. Would you like to see the footnote to satisfy yourself about that, or do you recall this is the document you're referring to?
Sorry, can you just go back, please? I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, can we go back to the witness statement, please? And you see that there's, in paragraph 20b, there's a reference, footnote reference to footnote 12, and footnote 12 is numbered GWC.007.007.0085.
Yeah, but I think those delegations that are subject to those footnotes are not the Chief Casino Officer delegations. They're delegations that were provided to those various positions, the Director, Deputy Director. I can't see a reference there to the Chief Casino Officer delegation.
Perhaps if we can take you to that document. So if you recall that document that you footnoted there is the 0007/007/0085 document. You see that's the footnote reference is on the left of the screen, and the document ID for the instrument of approval document is on the right of the screen. Do you see that?
Yes?
All right, if we can then just solely show GWC 0007.007.0085. So you'll see that this is a document. Sorry, operator, don't zoom that out just yet. You'll see that this is a document which has your name at the foot of the page, and the title under your name is Chief Casino Officer.
Yep.
And it's dated 27th of October 2015.
Yes.
And that's in the period which you've agreed you were the Chief Casino Officer, which is from the 19th of October 2015 to 6th November 2015.
Yes.
And if I can then draw your attention to the first paragraph, which says that in accordance with the Gaming and Wagering Commission resolving on 16 December to delegate to the Chief Casino Officer its powers in respect of approving amendments to the Casino Manual Operations annexed to the directions given pursuant to Section 24 of the Casino Control Act, I approve the following.
Yes.
So do you accept that in this instrument of approval you were exercising a power that was delegated to the Chief Casino Officer?
Yes. That's a separate approval.
A separate approval, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
separate
Yeah, I
approval.
thought you were
That's
trying
two.
to link it back to the previous power that I'd exercised in relation to the approval of the equipment.
The jukebox.
Yeah, the jukebox.
Yes,
yeah,
14.
So that,
There's two
Two
separate
separate-
approvals that in which you've exercised the delegated
Yes.
powers of the Chief Casino Officer during the time that you were
Yep.
acting Chief Casino Officer. Now, operator, call up. Sorry, before we go to that, call up GWC.0004.003.004. And you'll see that this document is headed Gaming and Wagering Commission Act 1987, Delegation of Powers, Section 16. And you'll see that it's dated on the second page, the 16th day of December 2014.
yep.
And I'll ask you to accept that this is the delegation that was in effect during the time that you were acting as the Chief Casino Officer. And do you understand that the delegation of powers to the Chief Casino Officer is effective pursuant to Section 16 of the Gaming and Wagering Commission Act?
Yes.
Operator, please call up PUB.004.005.001. So this is the Casino Control Act. It's as at the 16th of December 2011, but you can also take it that it's the one that's currently in force. Operator, please go to page 13. And we bring out the whole of section 11, including what's over the page. I might ask you to read this and then I'll ask you a question about it, Mr. Del Prete.
Yes?
So you see that this section is saying that the Chief Casino Officer may, with the approval of the Commission, by an instrument in writing, delegate to another officer of the Commission the exercise or performance of any of the powers, functions or duties of the Chief Casino Officer under this Act or any other Act or a casino complex agreement other than, in paragraph B, a power or duty of the Commission delegated to the Chief Casino Officer under section 16 of the Gaming and Wagering Commission Act.
Yes?
Did you ever consider whether this provision meant that the only person who could exercise the powers delegated to the Chief Casino Officer was, by the Gaming and Wagering Commission, was in fact the person who was substantively the Chief Casino Officer?
Yes?
If you did consider it, what did you
Well,
conclude?
I'm looking at it now. I mean, the role of Chief Casino Officer from up until recently, and ever since I can remember it, wasn't a specific function. It was duties that were performed to streamline processes. So in the absence of the Commission, the Chief Casino Officer typically would approve employee licence applications where there might have been delays apparent or police reports weren't available in a quick period. And the Chief Casino Officer typically undertook those approvals to get things moving. But the role hasn't permanently existed with any particular position, as you can see from the various delegations that have been granted over the years. So whilst I accept what I'm reading, the Chief Casino Officer might have been a different person at any point in time. So does that mean that the delegation could only be granted by the permanent Chief Casino Officer or the acting Chief? Because, I mean, the role moved with positions. More recently, it has sat with the Deputy Director General, and I think it still does now. But there is no one in the department that is called the Chief Casino Officer. They're titled a Director or Assistant Director or Deputy Director, and they perform Chief Casino Officer duties. So there is no position within our agency called the Chief Casino Officer. It moves.
Has it not been understood since around about 2011 until 2020 that the Chief Casino Officer was Mr. Michael Connolly? Has that not been the position within the department?
He has been since 2012. It would be
2012, sorry.
yeah, but it's allocated to the role of Deputy Director General. So if he were to proceed on leave, it would be whoever would be acting in that position. And as you've seen, I mean, in a period there where I wasn't acting anywhere, I was delegated that authority as well, albeit that it doesn't appear that it should have been done that way. But so I know the Chief Casino Officer position seems to be some very important role, but it hasn't played out that way in practical terms.
Even apart from this section, would you consider the expectation of the Gaming and Wagering Commission would be that if it delegated powers to the Chief Casino Officer and the Chief Casino Officer was Mr. Michael Connolly, it would only be Mr. Michael Connolly who exercised those delegated powers?
Yes.
And
With the approval of the Commission.
so in those circumstances, why were you exercising the delegated powers?
The chairman, I think that delegation instrument is signed off by the chairman of the commission. I assume at the request of the chief casino officer that would have occurred, but I can't show you anything or point to anything where that is the case.
So just to be clear, your evidence is that you were exercising the delegated powers of the chief casino officer at the request of the chief casino officer? Is that your evidence, or was that at the request of someone else?
No, I think the delegation instrument is signed off by the chairman of the Gaming and Wagering Commission.
So who asked you or purported to authorise you to exercise the powers of the chief casino officer?
That delegation instrument would have been what I would have worked on, so I would have been told you've been delegated the role of the chief casino officer for that period of time, and it's signed and sealed by the chairman of the Gaming and Wagering Commission.
And who told you that you were acting as the chief casino officer?
I can't remember who specifically told me. I would have been provided maybe an email or a verbal advice, and it would have been transacted that way.
And who would have provided that advice?
It could have been my director. I don't know in this particular circumstance. I mean, typically, as I've said, if a person is acting in a role that is typically associated with having the functions and responsibility of the chief casino officer, it would be done in conjunction with, for example, a high duties application. So you would complete a high duties application because you're acting as in the role of Deputy Director General, and a delegation instrument for the chief casino officer would be processed at the same time. And that would be what you worked with. That's how it's worked in practical terms.
We can then return to the delegation document, which is GWC.0007.007.0085. Now we'll see that the amendments that are being approved by you are amendments to the Information Technology Internal Policies and Procedures. So this is the part of the casino manual operations dealing with Information Technology Internal Policies and Procedures, and specifically referring to Schedule 1, Gaming Baseline System, and the Gaming Machine Monitoring System IGT Advantage. And then it's specified that the amendments provide for the following software modifications, and there are 4 modifications listed to the IGT Advantage system. But in particular, I'd like you to take your attention to the third one. So the amendments provide for the following software modifications, and the third one listed is IGT Advantage system upgrade to version 9.3. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Now call up CRW.702.001.2745. This is the DRGL division meeting minutes for the 24th of September 2015, and it shows you as attending. And it also shows Mr. Michael Connolly attending. Mr. Connolly's abbreviation is DDG. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Turn to page 2747, please, operator.
That seems a bit unusual because it shows me acting as DLG, but it also shows that the DLG is in attendance as well, which is a bit confusing.
Can you go back to the first page, operator?
I think my acronym there is meant to be the assistant director, because the director is shown as Nicola Perry at the bottom of that same block.
Yes, yes. And operator, please go back to 2747. if we can zoom out 4.2, thank you. So agenda item 4.2, the DDG, who's Mr. Michael Connolly. And sorry, if you take it from the heading, IGT Advantage System Proposed Upgrade version 9.3. Mr. Connolly advises that the GWC had resolved not to provide in principle approval of the proposed upgrade at this stage. Mr. Connolly undertook to arrange a meeting and send a letter to Crown Perth requesting some further information on this upgrade before a decision on whether approval would be granted or not. So that's on the 24th of September 2015. Do you remember that being discussed at that meeting?
No, I don't.
But you accept that you were at that meeting?
Yes.
Call up CRW.708.001.8139. So we've gone from the meeting minutes of the 24th of September 2015 to an email dated the 1st of October 2015 from Mr. Hume to various Crown employees. And you'll see in the first paragraph, I'll let you read the first paragraph.
Yep.
And then read the paragraph commencing, I have since spoken. So I have since spoken to Mike Connolly, who is agreeable that we can proceed with seeking approval of the proposed upgrade to the IGT Advantage system to version 9.3 and Easy Pay module only.
Yep.
So do you accept that on the 24th of September 2015, Mr. Connolly's advice at the meeting is that the GWC has resolved not to provide support for the upgrade to version 9.3, but in this email, it appears that he's indicated he's agreeable to proceeding with seeking approval of the proposed upgrade to version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system.
Yep.
Operator, call up CRW.708.002.8172. So this is a letter dated the 2nd of October to Ms. Nicola Perry from Crown. And operator, if you can go to page 8175, you can see who it was sent by. So you see it's sent from Mr. Bossy as Chief Operating Officer and Mr. Craig Gardner as General Manager Information Technology. Operator, if you can return to the first page, please. And I'll just ask you to read the first paragraph and the first points, numbered 1 and 2 after that. So
Yeah.
you can see that they're writing to seek approval for the upgrade to 9.3. They're writing to Ms. Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Call up CRW.708.002.4215. You can see this is an email from Mr. Hume dated the 12th of October, following up the letter of the 2nd of October regarding the upgrade, you can see in the subject line, to IGT Advantage System version 9.3. Do you see that in the subject line?
Yep.
And the text of the body of the email is, as discussed, can you please advise when you may expect to review and consider the attached submissions? In terms of priority, the IGT Advantage System upgrade is our #1 priority.
Yep.
and you'll see that the first attachment to the email is a letter to the DRGL proposed upgrade to IGT Advantage System version 9.3, and it starts with the numbers 151002, which we can take as being the 2nd of October 2015, so it's referring back to that letter. You see that?
Yep.
Operator, call up CRW.708.002.9469. And you'll see that Ms. Perry, by a letter dated the 14th of October 2015, says, I refer, and this is a letter to Mr. Bossy, the subject line, proposed upgrade to IGT Advantage System. And Ms. Perry refers to Mr. Bossy's letter of the 2nd of October 2015 requesting approval to upgrade the currently approved IGT Advantage System to version 9.3. And in the next sentence, Ms. Perry says, based on the certification provided by the accredited testing facility BMM dated the 30th of September 2015, approval is granted for the upgrade. You see that?
Yeah.
Operator, please call up DLG.8001.0043.0594. And this is an email from Michael Connolly to Ms. Perry and to yourself and Mr. Beecroft, with the subject line GWC approvals in principle. And I'd just like you to read through that email and then I'll ask you some questions about it.
Yep.
So from your review of the email, do you accept that in this email, Mr. Connolly is not saying that the upgrade to version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system can be approved? It's not about the upgrade to version 9.3. Do you accept that?
No, that doesn't seem to be mentioned.
Operator, call up GWC.0002.0016.154. So these are the minutes of the meeting of the Gaming and Wagering Commission on the 27th of October 2015. And this is, that is in that period that you've said you were the acting, or accepted that you're acting Chief Casino Officer. You're recorded as attending at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can go to page 4, please, of the minutes. There's a reference in item 12 to Mr. Bovell raising the matter of Crown Perth loyalty card proposed under the IGT Advantage system upgrade.
Yep.
And that the Chairman advised that the Deputy Director General will be consulting with Crown Perth before reporting at the December meeting.
Yep.
Now, if you recall, the approval that you granted for the upgrade to 9.3, version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system, was dated the 27th of October 2015.
Yep, yeah, no, that's
take
okay.
it back to show you that.
I'll accept that.
So that's the same day as this GWC meeting. which is also the 27th of October 2015.
Yeah, can I just go back to that approval?
The
So
approval,
that I
yeah.
can just, I've got a bit lost with it all.
No, sure, no. So operator, call up GWC.0007.0007.0085. So you can see your approval to make the amendment, including to make the software modification for the upgrade to 9.3 is dated the 27th of October 2015.
Yep,
And the minutes of the meeting are the 27th of October 2015.
yep.
Is there any reason why you didn't raise with the GWC the instrument of approval at that meeting?
Look, without seeing departmental files that might record conversation or notes of, I can't give you an answer to that based on what I'm looking at. It does seem unusual, however, that an approval would be given on the same day as a commission meeting. We're deciding certain things, so...
Can you give an explanation for why?
No, I can't, that's what I'm saying. Without looking at other records or files, I can't, I just can't respond to that.
Operator, call up GWC.002.0016.0159. So this is the agenda for that meeting on the 27th of October 2015. And you'll see under casino matters, there's no reference to the IGT Advantage system upgrade. See that?
Yeah,
If we then go to page 3, operator. See, these are the minutes for the previous meeting on the 22nd of September 2015. And the attendance record shows that Mr. Michael Connolly was present as the Deputy Chairman, and also shows that Ms. Nicola Perry was in attendance as Director of Liquor and Gambling, but there's no record that you attended that meeting. But on page 5, operator, can you go to page 5? There's a record of the discussion at agenda item 6.2. You can bring that out, operator, please. And I'll just let you read that to yourself.
so these are the minutes of the 22nd of September's meeting.
Those are the minutes of the previous meeting, which are included in draft.
Yep.
So you can see that the last line states that members consider that more information would be required before the new version of the system software and new jackpots would be approved. And the resolution is to request Crown Perth to provide further information regarding version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system and the proposed new Advantage products.
Yep.
And operator, if we can then go to page 11. See agenda item 5.1.3. Sorry, item 5.1.3 of this agenda item, which sets out the matters to be actioned. It says the Deputy Director General to provide for the Commission's consideration further information provided by Crown Perth regarding version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system and the proposed new Advantage products at the December 2015 meeting. Do you see that?
Yep.
So do you agree that those things that I've just taken you to in the agenda pack for the 27th of October meeting showed that the GWC had decided that the upgrade to version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system should not be approved until further information had been provided by Crown.
Yes, I accept that.
And you'd attended the DRGL Operations Division meeting on the 24th of September, where Mr. Connolly had advised that the GWC had decided not to approve the upgrade to version 9.3 at its meeting on the 22nd of December, hadn't you?
Yes.
So why on 27th of October 2015 did you approve the upgrade in that delegated instrument that you signed?
I don't know. I just can't, as I say, there seems to be anomalies there, so I'm not sure. Without looking closely at department records, I can't answer that question.
Did you consider that it was open to you to exercise a delegated authority contrary to the wishes of the Gaming and Wagering Commission?
Oh, I didn't consider that, and it surprises me that that would have been the case, that I would have approved something where the Commission had distinctly determined not to proceed until they had more information. So I don't know.
Operator, call up GWC.0002.0016.0160. So these are the agenda papers for the 24th of November 2015. And operator, please turn to page 366. This is the agenda item 11.2 by Ms. Perry, dated the 17th of November 2015. And you'll see that there's a table, and above the table it says the following table identifies the delegations exercised by the Chief Casino Officer. And the last entry in that table is dated the 27th of October 2015. Amendment to the IT internal policies and procedures.
Yes.
Yeah. And that, do you accept that that's a record of your exercise of delegated power on the 27th of October 2015?
Yeah, I assume it is. Yeah.
And although the table refers to that as the exercise by the Chief Casino Officer, in fact you were the acting Chief Casino Officer when that delegation was exercised, weren't you?
Yes.
And so the GWC members would have been entitled to assume that the reference to the Chief Casino Officer was a reference to Mr. Michael Connolly, wouldn't they?
I'm not sure how that witness can answer what
Yeah.
they would have assumed on that particular day. There's been no evidence led if there was information provided that Mr. Connolly was on leave or not, or anything of that nature.
I think that is a jump, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. I withdraw that question. And the description amendment to the IT internal policies and procedures does not identify that the amendment was to permit the upgrade to the version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system.
I mean, that paper wasn't authored by me, so it was authored by Ms. Perry by the looks of things, and that was her description. I can't comment.
Do you accept that that description does not give sufficient detail to explain that the upgrade to version 9.3 has been approved?
Yeah, I accept that.
Operator, call up GWC.0002.0016.0163. So this is the meeting agenda for the GWC meeting on the 15th of December 2015. Operator, please turn to page 74. See the subject. This is an agenda item prepared by the Deputy Director General. with the title IGT Advantage version 9.3. And there's a recommendation that the Commission note the oversight in approving the operational release of version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system.
Yep.
I'll just ask you to read paragraph 1.
Yep.
And then you can bring out paragraph 3. States that upgrades to systems are only approved where they do not result in the introduction of new gaming products. All new gaming products are referred to the Commission for consideration. Are you aware of whether there was a policy that system upgrades would be approved under delegation without reference to the Gaming and Wagering Commission, and only gaming upgrades or new gaming products would be referred to the Commission for their approval?
Perhaps the question should be what the witness understood the position was at the time.
And it would need to be time specific, I think, Mr. Sharp.
Yes, yes. At the time of your exercise of the delegation on the 27th of October 2015, did you understand that the department's position was that system upgrades would be approved without reference to the Gaming and Wagering Commission?
Yes, I think I understood that to be the position at the time. It probably broadly fell under the notion of equipment, which I think was one of the delegated functions that could be exercised, and new gaming products were referred to Commission for approval. So the last paragraph on that
Yes.
first
Operator, can you
page.
bring out the final paragraph, please? And then can we have the next paragraph, operator? So you see that Mr. Connolly says that whilst the Commission had asked for more information in relation to the new version before approving its operational release, I recommend that the Commission note my oversight and resolve not to revoke the approval granted. And then if we can have the first sentence of the next paragraph, please, operator.
Yep.
Operator, can you please bring up GWC.0002.0016.0166? These are the minutes of the Gaming and Wagering Commission meeting on the 15th of December 2015. And you'll see that, if we can turn to page 3, please, operator.
Can I just ask that this particular page be confined to the private screens, please? It contains employee details that were subject to disciplinary action. Thank you.
So, Mr. Del Prado, just ask you to read the resolution, which states that the GWC Commission affirms the approval of operational release of version 9.3 of the IGT Advantage system.
Yes.
So your decision to approve that amendment to the casino manual operations was affirmed by the GWC by that decision, by that resolution?
Yes?
Now, in your witness statement at paragraph 23, operator, can we have the witness statement at paragraph 23? You've stated that it was your understanding that if the GWC disagreed with a decision that a delegate made, then it could be changed or altered to reflect the GWC's position.
Yep.
But in this case, once the approval had been granted for the upgrade to version 9.3 and Crown had implemented that upgrade, it would not have been a realistic option for the GWC to seek to reverse that decision, would it?
I'm not sure how this witness can answer whether it be realistic or not.
I don't know how you characterise what's happened at GWC level as disagreement when there's a course of action that's been proposed, and the course of action that's been proposed has been adopted by the GWC. Not sure that it amounts to a disagreement.
There was the initial position of the GWC from September that the upgrade should not occur until a further consideration in December. And then there was a delegated power exercised in October to grant that approval.
But it seems to have been granted by the delegate, person B, on incorrect information provided to him by person A. Then person A says to the GWC, whoops, shouldn't have done that, but leave it in place. I'm not sure how you characterise that in terms of disagreement.
Well, that ultimately the GWC's decision hasn't been respected from the September meeting.
Well, in that respect, I think the documents speak for themselves.
In which case, no further questions on that issue. Turning then to paragraph 56 of your witness statement, Mr. Del Prete. You refer to having a conflict of interest while your daughter worked as a croupier at Crown Perth,
Yes?
and that coincided with your employment in the positions of casino inspector up till August 2005 and senior inspector compliance from August 2005 to July 2007.
Yes?
And you state at paragraph 57 that your colleagues, including the Director General at the time at the department, were aware of her employment. When you say that your colleagues were aware of her employment, does that include other casino inspectors?
Yes? And my supervisor, which would have been the senior inspector, would have been aware of it. It wasn't uncommon at the time. There were a number of others that had family or relationships with a casino staff.
When you say at witness statement, paragraph 58, your witness statement, paragraph 58, that you did not conduct audits or inspections that would have involved your daughter or the gaming tables at which she was working?
Yes? But that was a personal decision. That would have been me. I wasn't directed along those lines.
And when you were the senior inspector compliance, were the inspectors that you supervised directed not to conduct audits or inspections that would have involved your daughter?
No.
And do you consider that those inspectors might have felt an obligation to you to go easy on your daughter.
No, absolutely not.
In your witness statement at paragraph 59, you refer to a motor vehicle accident which led your daughter to be hospitalised,
Yes,
and this led you to telephone the gaming shift manager at the casino to inform him of the accident and advise that she would not be at work for some weeks as a result of the injury.
right,
And the following day, the executive general manager at the casino telephoned you to inquire about your daughter's health and discuss her potential return to duties.
that's correct.
And you made a note of that conversation,
Yes,
which is referred to at footnote 13. And we'll call up dlg.001.0013.005. Is that the note to the Director of Operations that you refer to in your witness statement?
yes it is.
If we can, operator, take out the last two sentences of the third paragraph. I'll pop out those sentences. So you said you informed him that it was unlikely that she would be in a position to return to work for at least 2 to 3 weeks in any capacity. However, beyond that, and subject to medical clearance, she might be able to carry out other duties.
Yep,
And then in the final paragraph, operator, if we can have the final paragraph. You said that you'd stressed to the casino employee that you were discussing this matter with him in your capacity as a father, and you wanted him to clearly understand that you were not seeking any favours or benefits for your daughter that would not be available to any other employee of Burswood.
yes,
And the employee advised you that he clearly understood the situation.
mm-hmm.
Did that interaction cause you to reflect on whether your daughter's employment at the casino put you in a position of conflict of interest?
It hadn't, but I just wanted it to be clear that she wasn't receiving any benefits as a result of me being employed by the regulator. So I just wanted to be quite clear on that.
And
In terms of conflicts, the same situation continued. I mean, others were still employed. So there was no direction given across the board to all of us as inspectors or regulators that that matter should be managed in a different way, or that conflicts ought to be formally recorded and a clear policy direction given as to how that arrangement or those arrangements ought to be properly managed to avoid any perceptions. Other than making it quite clear in the course of this memo, no, it didn't give me cause for any other issues.
at paragraph 60 of your witness statement, you refer to having a personal relationship with Mr. Hume. Sorry, operator, can we bring up Mr. Delcretto's witness statement? So paragraph 60, you refer to having a personal relationship with Mr. Hume, and that you'll describe Mr. Hume as a friend with whom you caught up occasionally.
Yep.
And did you ever disclose that friendship to the department?
Well, that was known. I mean, he was one of my trainers when I first commenced. So he had 2 stints working with the department, and then went away for a period and then came back to work with the department, and then eventually ended up at Crown. So the relationship...
Mr. Claude Moray and Mr. Connolly were also on the fishing trip which was on Mr. Connolly's boat.
Yes,
And at paragraph 62, you say the trip was sometime between 2013 and 2018.
yes,
call up DLG.8001.0033.5284.
Yes, I saw that.
You've seen
I
this?
saw that today, yes.
So there's a reference in there, you'll see, to a fishing trip which occurs on the 5th and 6th of April that you've been invited to, and you've said in your response that you're in for the fishing.
Yep.
And then operator, call up DLG.8001.0034.1086. So this is a subsequent email. Have you had the opportunity to look at
Yep,
this email?
I've seen that, yep.
So this email refers to the need, there's an email from Mr. Hume dated the 24th of April 2013 to Mr. Connolly, yourself, Claude Moran, Joshua Preston.
Yes,
And it says that the fishing trip's been rescheduled to the 3rd and 4th of May 2013.
yes.
And is that the fishing trip that you attended?
Yeah, it is. I obviously had my dates wrong, but yeah, that is definitely the trip. And at the time, I would have been the policy manager at the department with no delegated responsibility for any decision-making around casinos, other than just the normal policy work that that position occupied.
So operator, call up GWC.0002.0016.0107. So this is the agenda pack for the 25th of June 2013 for the GWC. And operator, go to page 49. So this is an agenda item from you to the GWC dated the 10th of June 2013.
Yep,
Concerning an amendment to directions regarding supervision levels for FATGs, which I understand to mean fully automated table games.
yes, that's right.
And you've made a recommendation to the Gaming and Wagering Commission that they approve amendments to the table games supervision levels, Direction 9, by signing the Direction Amendment Notice DA 89 and affixing the common seal.
Yes,
Operator, call up CRW.708.007.5745. The letter from you to Mr. Preston dated the 2nd of July 2013. And then you'll see in that letter you advised Mr. Preston that the GWC at that meeting on the 25th of June 2013 approved the amendment
Yep.
that they'd sought in their letter of the 11th of April 2013.
yep. So can I just provide some context around that? I mean, the policy team was responsible for facilitating a change to a manual or a policy, but decisions around that were made by others or the Gaming and Wagering Commission. So the policy branch did not proactively go out and seek to make those changes. So in this case, the decision had already been made by the Commission to give in principle approval for changes to supervision levels for FATGs, and I think it was also for rapid games. So once that formal submission came through from Crown, it was almost a rubber stamp, and all we were doing was facilitating that approval by creating the instrument of approval once the Commission had formally endorsed that.
But the fact of the matter is that you were still involved in the casino regulation process in the middle of 2013, isn't it?
I guess.
And did you disclose to the Gaming and Wagering Commission that you'd taken that fishing trip with?
No.
And do you agree that there is a risk that the public would consider that Crown employees and members of the department who are assisting the Gaming and Wagering Commission should not be going on fishing trips in case it undermines the ability of the regulator to operate objectively and without fear or favour?
Yes.
No further questions, Commissioners.
Any applications? Oh. Councillor Junket.
Just a couple, Mr Junket. In respect of the repeal of the junket regulations in 2010, it seems that you're aware that the GWC determined that the casino should no longer have to seek pre-approval for junket operations, but that not all of the that the GWC didn't authorise the repeal of all of the regulations. So do you have any understanding or knowledge of why all of the regulations were repealed?
No, I don't. I can't remember what that Gaming Commission paper said in terms of its recommendations, other than to repeal the junket provisions, but I can't recall about the other subsequent regulations.
You may have answered this, and I'm sorry if I'm asking you to repeat yourself. But when you commenced to act in the role of Chief Casino Officer, did you receive any letter appointing you as the acting CCO?
I think there is an instrument of delegation floating around.
What,
With
to the
my-
acting CCO? Or to
Yes, yeah, to the acting CCO, with my name specifically mentioned for that 2-week period, I think it was. I'm sure there's one.
All right. So that's
So that should
relevant to delegations. In terms of the actual appointment of you as the acting CCO, was there any formal process for that to occur?
be, other than just the delegation instrument that would have been provided to me at the time, there was no other formal process.
And finally, in respect of the issues of conflict of interest, you said that basically your situation with your daughter working at the casino was not uncommon. So I just want to make sure that I understand that. Are you saying that other departmental staff involved in casino regulation also had relatives working at the casino? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes,
And is what you're saying that there was never any direction given to you or people in your position as inspectors about how you were to declare those potential conflicts of interest?
that's correct.
And that there was no direction given to you as inspectors as to how then to manage those conflicts of interest?
That's correct.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Delwick.
Just one question from me, Mr. Del Prete. You spent a long time as a casino inspector, and was that a period when the inspectors were generally speaking on the floor?
Yes,
Are you aware that at some point, and I think from memory it was around 2015, there was a change and inspectors were no longer on the floor, or they spent less time on the floor and conducted surveillance otherwise? Are you
Yes.
aware of that?
yes.
Were you ever involved in that second phase yourself?
I was involved where there was a reduction in hours for inspectors to be permanently on site. So when I first commenced, we were there 24/7, and then there was a reduction of something in the order of 4 hours. So we were there from right through till 2 in the morning, and then the next inspector wouldn't come on until I think 6 in the morning. So there was a 4-hour period where there was no inspectors on site at the casino. And then subsequent to that, I think in 2015, I think inspectors were removed from having permanent presence at the casino, and they would go and undertake their audits, or were rostered for periods along with other duties. I mean, that's my recollection of how it operated for a period.
Now, I'm just asking you, from your experience as a casino inspector, from your experience, are there advantages in the inspectors being on the floor as opposed to perhaps more remote, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think there's advantages and disadvantages in both situations.
And what are the disadvantages of them being on the floor?
The disadvantages are probably along the lines of familiarity with casino staff. The advantages are that it's probably seen to be a bit of a deterrent, but I can't recall too many instances where any issues were proactively established by those of us that were working as casino inspectors on a permanent basis.
Right, thank you very much. Do you wish to re-examine this evening?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Del Prado. Thank you very much for making yourself available. It has been of assistance, and we'll discharge the summons. You've completed the formalities under the summons, and you are free to resume your normal activities. And we will adjourn to 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, the 4th of November. Thank you.
All rise.